Sean not built for prison.
No, really heavy.
Yeah, he's not built for prison.
OTF Jam really did snitch on Lil Durk. But now, the consequences are deadly. Reports claim Jam was just killed, and it might have been a direct response to his betrayal. And if that's not wild enough, this could shift Lil Durk's entire legal case. Let's break it all down, from day one to dry snitching. Picture this. You're looking at a dude who did a 12-year bid without saying a word. He came home to his day ones, got nothing but love, got blessed with bread and respect, and then allegedly turned around and became a walking wire for the feds. That's not just foul. That's the kind of move that gets your whole bloodline marked forever in certain neighborhoods. But before we dive into how Jam, real name Casey Hester, became the most hated man in Chicago's drill scene, we have to understand the ecosystem that bred this level of treachery. We're talking about a world where your word is bond, where keeping it 100 means everything, where the worst thing you can be called is a snitch. Back in 2010, while most people were just trying to figure out how to get their first car or maybe score a decent job, Jam was already deep in the trenches. He caught an attempted murder case and got sentenced to 12 years in the pen. Now in the hood. That's the kind of charge that separates the real ones from the fake ones real quick. Most dudes, they'd be singing like they were auditioning for The Voice, just to get that sentence chopped in half. But here's where it gets deep. Here's where the foundation for the ultimate finesse was being laid, and no one saw it coming. While Jam was locked up, doing hard time in the Illinois correctional system, a young and hungry rapper named Lil Durk was building what would become one of the most notorious crews in drill music. Only the Family, or OTF, got started by Durk in 2010. Right around the same time Jam was catching his case. What started as just some homies from the block making music together evolved into something much more serious. This wasn't just a record label or a rap group. Prosecutors would later call it a hybrid organization. It looked like a legit business on paper, but it had serious street ties beneath the surface. The connection between OTF and the Black Disciples? No secret in the streets. This wasn't a bunch of suburban kids pretending to be hard for the camera. These were real street dudes, putting in work since they were shorties. And that drill music? It wasn't just entertainment. It was audio documentation of real beef. Real bodies, real consequences. While Jam was behind bars doing 12 long years, something both beautiful and dangerous was happening outside. Durk was blowing up. Drill music was becoming a global wave, and OTF was right in the center. Songs about sliding on ops, catching bodies, and keeping it real weren't just catchy bars. They were confessions, set to 808s and hi-hats. When Jam finally touched down in February 2022, the whole landscape had changed. The young dude who started OTF while Jam was getting locked up, he was now a major player in the rap game. Durk had achieved what most cats from that environment only dream about, going mainstream without losing his street cred. But in the streets, success always comes with a price. And that price, tag, it only gets higher the bigger you get. The same street activities that inspired Durk's hardest bars, the same war stories that built his name, were still alive and active. When King Von got killed in November 2020, it tore a hole in the crew, and in their code, that kind of wound demands get back. In their world, some debts can only be paid in blood. That's where Jam's story crashes into one of the most high-profile federal cases in hip-hop history. When he got out in 2022, Jam wasn't just another ex-con trying to get his life right. He was brought into the circle. He was blessed financially. He was treated like family. By Durk himself. This wasn't charity. This was brotherhood. Looking out for brotherhood. At least that's how it looked. From the outside.
So like Sean Kingston, have y'all heard about the Sean Kingston shit?
That I do.
Yeah,
Sean Kingston is definitely a scammer.
Durk allegedly blessed Jam with over $50,000, got him a crib, a car, and even covered his legal fees. For someone who had just done over a decade in the pen, that kind of love must have felt like hitting the lottery. This wasn't just looking out for your boy. This was loyalty in motion, a deep investment in someone who was supposed to be family. It was the kind of brotherhood that OTF claimed to stand for. But behind all that, Allegedly, something way darker was going on, something that nobody in the inner circle could have seen coming. According to federal investigators, Jam had been wired up for years, recording conversations, collecting evidence, like he was filming a documentary for the feds. If these allegations turn out to be facts, then every conversation, every act of trust, every moment of love and loyalty was being recorded and handed straight to the same federal agents who were quietly building a RICO case behind the scenes. And the fallout? This betrayal, if true, runs deeper than just one dude deciding to flip. We're talking about someone who was invited into the most sacred circles of the crew, someone trusted with sensitive info, someone treated like blood, allegedly using all of that to help construct a federal case that would eventually land Lil Durk in handcuffs on murder-for-hire charges. Then came October 24th, 2024.
Real talk, when Kingston first got signed to a record deal at around 17 or 18, his mom was already locked up for identity theft. As hip-hop personality 1090 Jake pointed out,
When Sean Kingston got signed, he was like maybe 17.
In the hood, there are unwritten laws that govern everything. Codes of conduct, street justice, and enforcement methods that don't require a judge or jury. Being labeled a rat? That's basically a death sentence, not carried out by the state, but by your own people, the same ones who once showed you love. Now that the allegations against Jam have gone public, it doesn't even matter whether they're true or not. In the eyes of those who live and die by the street code, his life is probably already over. That's the harsh reality of the world they chose to be a part of. Once the trap gets exposed, bodies start dropping. The fall of 2024 was shaping up to be one of the most devastating seasons in OTF history. But the seeds of destruction had been planted long before, watered with real blood, fertilized by a thirst for revenge that would consume everything in its path. What happened next felt like something straight out of a Hollywood crime drama, except these consequences were real. And the people who dropped, they weren't actors. They didn't get back up when the director yelled, "Cut!" To really understand the scale of what allegedly went down, we have to rewind to the events that led up to the August 2022 shooting in LA, where Sava Lulpab Robinson, Quando Rondo's cousin, was gunned down. This wasn't some random shootout. It wasn't a robbery gone wrong. According to the feds, this was a carefully orchestrated hit. A hit that went terribly wrong, leaving an innocent man dead, while the intended target walked away unharmed. The motivation for that alleged hit goes all the way back to November 2020, back when King Von was killed in Atlanta during a heated confrontation with Quando Rondo's crew. But Von wasn't just another rapper to the OTF family. He was blood. He was a brother, a loyal soldier, the kind every crew depends on. His death wasn't just a tragedy, it created a debt. One that, in their world, could only be repaid with someone else's life.
Did he act with intent to defraud? Alongside his mother, Janice Turner, also charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and more. You didn't need to write that. We heard from Turner herself in court.
Here's where the story takes a dark turn. One that shows just how deep the alleged betrayal really went. If Jam was truly walking around with a wire, like the feds claim, then he wasn't just some passive observer watching from the sidelines. He was actively documenting everything. The planning, the execution, and the aftermath of what prosecutors would later call a murder-for-hire conspiracy. The level of access Jam allegedly had is absolutely wild when you think about what it means. According to court documents, an informant provided recordings and specific details, including the use of OTF credit cards to book flights on the exact day of the alleged attempt on Quando Rondo's life. This wasn't some outsider looking in from a distance. This was someone with VIP access to the operation, someone who knew the money moves, someone who had insight into the travel logistics, someone who was allegedly present during the strategic conversations behind it all.
When Sean Kingston got signed, he was like maybe 17, 18 years old at the time. His mom was in prison for identity theft. So he grew up in this scammer kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, she already was doing it. And he just made it to where they could really do it.
The sophistication of this alleged operation is what makes it so devastating for everyone involved. The 5 OTF members who were eventually arrested, Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dantrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay and Asa Houston, they weren't just random associates or hangers-on. These were core members of the organization, people who were trusted with the most sensitive aspects of OTF's business. But the most shocking revelation? It comes when you look at the timeline. Jam had allegedly been walking around with federal recording equipment for years, starting almost immediately after he got out of prison in February 2022. That means nearly every conversation he had with OTF members during that period was potentially being recorded, then handed over to federal agents who were quietly building their case from the inside out.
But the whole thing is, Vlad, when people's on their last leg, you ain't no telling what they can do. You know what they can do. I know what you're saying. I understand.
But it wasn't even like, okay, like I get it. You're scamming to pay your
The
rent.
psychological manipulation required to maintain this level of deception for years is almost beyond comprehension. Think about what this really means. While Durk was blessing him with money, while crew members were treating him like family, while he was sitting in on the most intimate conversations about strategy, revenge, and survival.
Why do you think someone who makes legal money and could do shows
handing it over
and,
to the
could
very
put out more
same
music
federal agents
starts to
who were building
scam on the
cases
side?
designed to destroy the lives
I
of
feel like
everyone
it's
who
the
trusted
pressure of the industry and keeping up
the evidence
with
that
the
federal
Joneses
investigators
and,
allegedly
you gotta get
gathered
rich
through this
millions,
operation
like,
is
it goes
both
back
extensive
to the
and
$10,000 jeans
devastating. Prosecutors
you know
claim
what I mean?
multiple recordings
I
of payment
understand
discussions,
if you're a high school
documented
dropout,
financial
you
transactions,
can't really get a good
and
job,
detailed insights into the planning
and you're
and
just trying to
execution
figure
of
out
the
ways
alleged
to
murder
pay
for
the
hire
bills.
plot.
And scamming
This isn't circumstantial
seems like an
evidence.
okay idea at
This
the
isn't
time.
hearsay.
And you're just doing what you got to do.
If
But
the
when you're Sean
allegations are true,
Kingston,
this
you're being
represents
booked
a
for shows.
comprehensive multi-year documentation of criminal activity from the inside. But perhaps the most damaging part of this betrayal? It cuts to the very heart of what OTF claimed to stand for. This wasn't just a business. It wasn't some casual association. It was supposed to be family, bound together by shared struggle, mutual loyalty, and a code that prioritized solidarity, above all else. What Jam allegedly did wasn't just illegal. It was a fundamental violation of everything that held the crew together.
What's going on at your house, man? You always got my man Scott Beezy in trouble. What kind of parties do you have at the house?
Stop with this. What kind of parties?
You said this last time.
I'm young, I'm successful, I'm having fun, I'm turning up.
The reaction within OTF to these revelations has been both complex and revealing. While some members continue to express disbelief and defend Jam, others have completely distanced themselves from him. The crew is now split between those who refuse to believe that someone they trusted could be capable of such betrayal, and those who see the writing on the wall and are doing everything they can to protect themselves from further fallout. Footage of Jam casually eating McDonald's during what appears to be a federal interrogation has gone viral, quickly becoming the ultimate symbol of the alleged betrayal. It's been shared all over social media, turned into memes, and used to mock what many see as the most disloyal move imaginable. The image of a man munching on fast food while potentially destroying the lives of people who treated him like family. It struck a deep nerve in communities where loyalty isn't just expected, it's sacred. But the implications of this alleged betrayal go far beyond OTF or even the hip-hop world. If these allegations are true, they represent a new level of sophistication in how federal law enforcement is targeting what they consider criminal organizations. This isn't just about locking up individuals for isolated crimes. It's about long-term infiltration. It's about building airtight cases through systematic documentation designed to take down entire networks from the inside out.
I think you did it right. You did the Michael Jackson. Just let it go away. Absolutely.
Then you're gonna go
move
into
on with your
court.
life.
Kingston later explained his decision to settle.
But to be honest with you, it was the best thing because I felt like if it was an ongoing thing, we would have kept being in the media.
I think you did it right. You did the Michael
The
Jackson.
strategic nature of this operation suggests that federal investigators had been planning it for years, carefully positioning their alleged asset and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The timing of the arrests, the coordination between multiple agencies, and the comprehensive nature of the charges all point to a level of preparation that goes far beyond what most people expect from standard law enforcement operations. As news of these allegations spread throughout the hip-hop community and beyond, the response has been a mix of shock, disbelief, and anger. Many are questioning how someone could maintain such a deep deception for so long, while others are left wondering what this means for the future of organizations like OTF, when keeping it real goes federal, and the consequences become permanent. The final chapter of this saga isn't just about what allegedly happened. with Jam. It's about the complete collapse of trust, the deadly consequences of betrayal, and the devastating impact federal infiltration can have on communities built on loyalty and silence. What emerges from the wreckage of this alleged betrayal is a powerful cautionary tale. A story about the price of revenge, the reach of federal law enforcement, and the harsh truth that trying to live by street codes in a world governed by federal statutes is a losing game from the start. But before we break down the alleged fallout from Jam's actions, we need to understand just how deep the damage runs for those who once trusted him with their lives. On December 17, 2024, Jam finally broke his silence, posting on Instagram stories in an attempt to defend himself against the growing accusations. His statement read, "When the discovery comes out, you're going to see I'm not how the feds got onto us or built their case. I'ma let the paperwork come out because it's gonna tell it all." But the denial came far too late to undo the damage, not just to his reputation, but to his safety. In the world he operated in, just being accused of being a federal informant is often enough to earn you a permanent dirt nap, whether the accusations are ever proven true or not.
What? First of all,
$100,000.
What the f is $100,000 TV?
I gotta see the TV.
I gotta
That's
see the
cheap though for like a high-end TV, bro. Like this TV's right there for like 400,000.
What does that look like?
I've never seen a TV for 100,000.
These streets operate under their own judicial system, one that doesn't require the same burden of proof found in federal courtrooms. In communities where your reputation is everything, and trust is the only real currency, being labeled a snitch or an informant is the equivalent of receiving a death sentence. But it won't be carried out by the state. It'll be handled by former friends, close associates, or even complete strangers. People who see betrayal as a direct attack on the core principles that govern their world. Concern for Jam's safety has surfaced repeatedly in online conversations, with many Reddit users openly questioning what would happen if he ever showed his face in Chicago again. And the consensus among those familiar with street politics is grim. Regardless of whether he's guilty or innocent, the allegations alone have likely made him a marked man. But the story takes an even darker turn when we examine the additional rumors that have emerged from this situation. Whispers have circulated that Lil Durk allegedly ordered the killing of Jam's baby mother as retaliation for the supposed snitching. While these claims remain unverified and should be approached with caution, their very existence highlights just how violent and personal the consequences of cooperating with law enforcement can be in these circles. It's not just about betrayal, it's about blood. And once that line is crossed, there's no going back.
Sean Kingston. Now, you've dealt with Sean Kingston before. I know Sean Kingston. Cool dude. Nothing bad to say about him.
What they give him, 20 years, 10 years?
Him and his mom are facing 20 years each.
Or did they get sentenced? Or?
No, not yet. They were found guilty for over $1 million in fraud. Jewelry, luxury vehicles, 200-inch TVs, an Escalade worth $160,000, jewelry worth $480,000.
What he was, now the jury I used to hear about, but I would hear he would like, so jewelers come to the video shoots to use it, and then he just like disappeared on it.
The complexity of this situation is deepened by the fact that many people who knew Jam personally find it incredibly hard to believe he would ever cooperate with federal authorities. His reputation as someone who had done serious time without ever folding, combined with his apparent commitment to street codes and loyalty, made the allegations seem almost impossible to accept for those who had known him for years.
A funny story of my homeboy who was actually like, he does industry, and he even has like a personal encounter with Sean Kingston that went left, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a scammer. Yeah, I explained it to sum it up. So basically, my homie, he a cameraman or whatever, and Sean Kingston booked him to go to Vegas. He had a tour, or not a tour, he had like 2 to 3 shows lined up in Vegas. Like, look, I'm gonna book you, come out here to come Vegas, whatever.
Ironically, this disbelief may have been exactly what made Jam such an effective alleged informant. Federal law enforcement agencies have become increasingly sophisticated in their strategies to infiltrate criminal organizations, often targeting individuals who seem least likely to cooperate. It's their reputation for loyalty that places them above suspicion, making them the perfect assets for deep cover operations. The broader implications of this case stretch far beyond OTF or even the hip-hop community. The use of long-term informants, advanced surveillance techniques, and detailed financial tracking marks a new era of federal law enforcement capabilities, one that can penetrate even the most tightly knit and loyal organizations.
Tell me he got paid.
He didn't get his back end, none of that. He got the front end, but the back, it was all fault.
The psychological toll of living under these circumstances, knowing that anyone around you could potentially be recording your conversations or documenting your every move, is something most people can't even begin to imagine. The paranoia, the constant vigilance, and the slow erosion of trust caused by such operations can tear apart entire communities and destroy relationships in ways that extend far beyond the immediate targets of investigation. Now, regarding the title's reference to Jam being smoked on camera, it's important to address this directly and factually. Despite viral rumors that circulated in November 2024 claiming Jam had been killed, those reports have been thoroughly debunked. The video that went viral, showing what appeared to be a fatal shooting, was later confirmed to depict the death of CJ, a 16-year-old drill rapper from New York, who was killed on October 24th, 2024. As of May 23, 2025, there are no credible reports or evidence indicating that Jam has been killed, and no death investigation is currently underway. The rapid spread of these false rumors highlights how easily misinformation can take hold in the digital age, especially when it involves high-profile controversies and criminal allegations. But the fact that so many people believe the rumor without question speaks volumes about the expectations that surround alleged informants in street communities. The assumption that Jam would eventually face violent retaliation for his alleged cooperation reflects the brutal realities of the world in which these events are playing out. Meanwhile, the legal proceedings continue to unfold. Lil Durk's trial has now been pushed back to October 14, 2025, a delay reportedly due to new evidence and ongoing plea deal negotiations. This suggests the case is still evolving as federal investigators continue building their prosecution.
Your mom was in jail, right?
She was.
Right. Okay,
Mom was in jail. What?
What?
Mama
5
gangster?
years. When he first came out.
5 years. 5 years. Jesus Christ. What she do?
The impact on OTF as an organization has been absolutely devastating. The arrest of multiple core members and the ongoing legal battles are threatening to dismantle everything Lil Durk spent over a decade building. The fact that the group's own financial records, internal communications, and personal relationships are now being used as evidence against them represents a complete reversal of the loyalty and trust that once held the crew together. Family members of those involved have stepped forward in defense of their loved ones. Lil Durk's family has publicly criticized the use of his lyrics as legal evidence, while Jam's family continues to deny the snitching allegations altogether. These public statements underscore the human cost of this legal war, not just for the individuals facing charges, but for their entire support systems, families, friends, and communities caught in the crossfire. Whether Jam is ultimately proven to be the informant prosecutors claim he is, or whether he's an innocent man caught up in the web of federal overreach, his story has already become a cautionary tale, a warning about the price of living by codes that federal agencies have now learned to infiltrate, manipulate, and weaponize. The final lesson in this tragic saga might be this. In a world where the government has unlimited resources, cutting-edge surveillance, and the patience for long-term infiltration, the old street codes of loyalty and silence may no longer offer the protection they once did. Because while the streets may follow their own rules, federal prosecutors play by an entirely different set, and more often than not, they win. In the end, this story serves as a reminder. When you're playing street games with federal consequences, the house always wins, and the price of admission might be higher than anyone is truly prepared to pay. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, click on one of the boxes on your screen to explore more deep dive content just like this.